slope ordinance and weighted hours.
About impact fees, right? That was one of those.
Impact fees will have to be done through an impact fee analysis.
Which we've already done in North Philly.
Yeah, for water and sewer. So our engineers, that's something that the city's going to have to do if the one we get to that point.
So if the impact for water and sewer is the special service district, they would get the money from the impact fee, right?
Right.
And we just need we just need to incorporate the fee that's needed for their impacts.
Well, no, I think that would be part of this agreement is, or even an annexation that those fees that the county's levying, those are going to go straight to the county. The city's not going to get those.
Well, the SSD levy.
Right. But the impact fees that the city may potentially get would be parks, roads, and then if the city opts to do a public safety.
We have roads. We have that in also done. Are there any impact fees the county has on North Philly's potential?
For stuff other than water and sewer.
Yeah, other than SSD.
It would have to
You got
be
a transportation,
SSD.
you got a transportation impact fee.
So it's there too. It's in there.
Moving right along. So open space?
I just want to update Jim, and Tracy can help me on this. The council back in, I think, April or March, decided or made the motion that we go ahead and look at putting a bond on the ballot. And we're looking at putting a bond on the ballot for $15 million for $5 million increments. The first $5 million increment will be on for 2018. This was going to be used to buy conservation easements on agricultural property, try to preserve the agricultural character of the valley in the Northfield area. When we started out doing this, we just made a rough estimate of what it would cost for $100,000 in assessed value. We shot a number of $9 for $100,000 in assessed value annually. But since then we've had our bond council look at it, and it came back and it's $4.13 for $100,000 assessed value. For typically a $300,000 home, which is basically what all the primary residences pretty close in the county, in Heber City, or the county area would be, it's going to run us about $12 a year for $5 million.
On a $300,000 home. On a $300,000 home, but on a
taxable value.
Yeah. On a $10 million home, be a little bit more than that.
It'd be, yeah.
We've got quite a few second houses.
Well, but it's still per 100,000.
Yes,
So you
yes.
calculate it yourself.
Right. We have quite a few homes that are a lot more than $300,000.
Yep.
But here's what I'd like to find out, if you could explain, if you don't mind, how would that $5 million work? Can you kind of run the calculations on how much ground that would buy, or?
Well,
We're not buying.
No, wait.
We're not buying property.
It's not buying. No, it's not buying.
I know it's not buying,
buying.
it's just buying the conservation easement. So how much could you actually tie up with that $5 million?
It's going to vary on each parcel, but what this $5 million does, it creates seed money. Because with that $5 million, we go out and get additional money. We've got individuals that indicated they match it. Or we can go to the federal farm bill and get some help from the federal government to help preserve their character in the valley.
Sure.
Will Utah Open Lands help with this, Steve?
Huh?
Yes.
We hope.
Utah Open Land.
Utah Open Land will help us. Matter of fact, they have a website coming up next week that will explain a lot of this on the website and answer a lot of questions about it.
Okay.
So Steve, that money comes in, who decides? Is it the first farmer through the door, or?
No, there would be criteria set
Because
up.
some easements, they may want more than others, is there gonna be a set amount?
Well,
Acre
done on
of
an appraisal.
easement? Huh?
It will be done on an appraisal. They will appraise what the value of the property is, and then what the value of conservation easement is.
So you'll get an appraisal for the developable, what it's worth today is developable
Yes, and
land.
what it is with the restriction on it, and the difference would be value of conservation easement.
And where it's North Fields, one of the things I feel, I mean, I've lived here for 40 plus years, and I almost bought.
You'll be an old timer.
I almost bought and built in the North Fields, so I looked at this pretty close. But the reason North Fields is because it's wetland, a lot of it. And so I would hope that the value for development it takes in
Would be
is
reflected
reflected.
in this.
You may not get much more than a house for 20 acres anyway because of the water table
Well, with new
technology.
sewer technology, that changed that somewhat, plus with the irrigation.
On the other side of it,
Dried it up.
a lot of these landowners is held that property for generations, and their basis in it is so low, they sell it for these big figures. The capital gains tax is going to eat them alive, and they can make a contribution to this to get tax credit to help cut that tax burden down.
I think in order to sell it to the public, we gotta come up with an example on how that would work. What would it look like in real life situation? Do you have any idea on what that would look like? What it would take to buy the conservation on 10 acres?
You're probably looking at 40 to 60% of the value, market value.
Of the ground? Okay. So with
That's just a rough estimate.
if the ground appraised for $50,000 an acre, then you're saying maybe, let's say, $25,000 per acre. That would be possibly buy it.
You buy their development right.
Right.
And then you'd have to see what the contribution they want to make into it, so maybe less than that.
So
Plus,
they might take only 15 instead of 25.
I was just going to say that, oh, were you going to?
Well, I was going to say, the presentation, we've had a couple of presentations given to us in county council, and one of them, you know, they talked about these funds as just one of the tools in this bag of tools to try and do this. And one of the things is, it only works if you have a willing participant.
Right.
The landowner has to want this to happen. And so that perhaps overcomes some of the obstacles because the landowner wants it to happen.
And the seed money has criteria involved with even being able to spend it, which is to hopefully leverage that money 3 times. I mean, there's going to be a threshold that each transaction's going to have to make. The federal government, the IRS is involved. So we don't just get some Joe Blow to do a appraisal. The federal government has to approve the appraisal. If there's any grant money involved, they have criteria that they have to follow. So it's not just our criteria, it's the federal government's criteria, it's the grants, and their, so it's very regulated, not just in our county open lands board, but with the other entities that we would be having to work with.
When
So,
this goes on the ballot, you're asking people to agree to spend that $5 per 100,000 value. I think, I mean, in truth, in taxation, we gotta let them know it could be $15 because you're authorizing 3 sets of 5 million.
over 21 years.
I understand, but you.
No, I know, but I'm just,
So once they know
there's a lot of
that,
variables.
all the details of this board and how it's gonna be spent and everything else probably won't be knowable during the election, right?
A lot of it will. But that's what
So
we're
that
gonna-
board's
that's what
gotta
we're-
come up with these
That's what
rules.
we're
Yes.
starting on now.
Okay.
I think it would be good to have that before the election, because we have programs like TDRs. I mean, we've talked about TDRs, they don't work, because we can't get a willing buyer and a willing seller, or send a zone and a receiving zone. We can't agree on that. So if we gotta give the public all the information we can about this $5 million, I just calculated as 200 acres, if you just take the 5 million and you IF 200 acres at $25,000 an acre, but it is, but you're saying that we get more money, this and that, but I think like Ron said, you gotta get all the information out there to everybody. We gotta understand, because we could create a program that doesn't work just like the TDRs.
Yeah, and I think that's important. You want to give the people as much information as possible. I think along with that is there's this zoning can only hold people back for so long. And we can't just continually depend on zoning forever. Because eventually you'll get a majority of a council that will have a different philosophy on zoning than maybe the current council. And so I think it's very important that the public understands that as well. I'll just say for myself as a council member, if the public doesn't want to put money into it, if they don't trust this solution, which I understand there's more than one solution, I'm going to have a hard time continuing to stop any type of rezoning because the public not willing to put any skin in the game. And I think that's what it really comes down to, which is the most unpopular thing I could probably say.
Well, they gotta understand what the program is.
Yeah, definitely.
Vote.
No, I agree with that.
They can't continue to expect that farmer to keep that open. For
Exactly, that's my point.
No.
Because they can't afford to continue to farm
Well,
it.
for a lot of it, it's their pension.
Right, and so if they want to sell it and they want to get the maximum value out of it, I have a hard time telling them, no, you can't, I can't rezone this, or I won't vote to rezone this, because the public
Everyone
doesn't.
likes the view.
Because the public likes open space, but if the public said, well, we're not willing to contribute anything to help keep the open space. I understand that's a controversial statement, but that's, I think, really the pressure point here.
It is.
It needs to be stressed to the public that they always say they want the open space. Okay, you want the open space, you have to put some money in there. That needs to really be stressed because that's what everybody wants, or that's what they say. But yeah, that's just something that really needs to be stressed.
So is the bond going to be restricted to the quote central zone?
No.
No.
So what, I mean, because
They've identified.
let's be fair about that too. Northfields has a different commitment level than just buy another open space in a county that's 2/3 open space anyway.
Over in Wallsburg.
Well, today.
I mean, I'm asking for the number, but it's close to 2/3.
But I think they've established zones, is that right? You guys have established zones all over the county in your board meetings?
68, that's close. Okay.
It really depends on landowners coming to the board,
2/3 to 67.
being interested.
I foresee more landowners in Northfield coming to the board because they're getting to the age, they need to do something with the land, and it's not going to be able to rezone it.
I mean, we've been talking about this for 20 years. If this gets off the ground and the bond passes and a couple landowners and we show a couple transactions, we're going to get a lot more interest, I think, from other landowners. But the two things that need to be stressed here is this bond is just money to leverage. We're not going to buy any land outright. That is not our intent. That is the least economical way of trying to save open space, is by buying land outright. And so there are private donors that have come forward that says if this bond passes, we will match a certain amount of money of it. The grant money that we can leverage. So we're looking to leverage the taxpayers' money at hopefully 3 times. And the landowner also has to come to the table with some skin in the game too. It's not like we're just giving him. He has to come to the table. And that's how you gauge which properties are more doable, is by all this criteria. The landowner coming to the table and what grants we can get for it. So, but there's grasslands and wetlands and habitat, and there's a lot of different grant money out there.
There's a lot of lands that have constraints that can't even be developed that we shouldn't even develop.
Right, and so if they can't be developed on, that might not be high on the priority list.
What kind of restrictions are those seed money people going to put on that land?
Well, there's a whole host.
Well, it's still owned by the landowner.
But if
It's
they're
not
gonna
public
give-
land.
if they're gonna
It is
add in
privately-
5 million to match our 5 million, you can't think they're not gonna put some restrictions on what that landowner
Then we
can
have,
do on
then
that
we gotta
county.
weigh it, say the restriction is in place of what we wanna have.
And of course, the landowner has to approve those restrictions. We can't put any restrictions on the landowner that he doesn't want. He still owns the property. So it's got to be a willing and able buyer and seller and,
Seller, willing buyer.
right,
So there's no action item for us at this point, there's updates.
now.
It's still our responsibility.
This only works if you get 3 times the bang for your buck, and that was why I used it.
Okay, so
Right.
that was the point, is that we just wanted to give some information to the Heber City, what's going on with that board.
We'll pass it on to those who are here. Thank you. All right, I think that's all the items we have.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.